welcome to ihomeschoolph. This is Novi Antan, your homeschool coach, and we will talk about what really matters most in our homeschooling journey. Thank you so much for listening with us and tuning in. I am so excited for this podcast or whoever's watching right now in YouTube or in Facebook because I do believe that sometimes as a homeschool parent, may mga fear tayo na kung anong dapat nating ituro, no? Specifically, the fear of teaching math. And I do believe na crucial po ito sa child's academic success, no? And sometimes, meron tayong doubt, no, na paano ba to? Do I have the ability to teach them well? And I do believe sometimes siguro nagsastruggle ka at nagsastruggle din yung anak mo regarding math, no? So, how do we go to this process? Before that, I just want to encourage you, let me assure you that you can give your children a great education all the way around. You can set them up for math success. Believe me, because after this conversation, you'll be able to be encouraged and hope na talagang matuto po kayo sa aming conversation. That's why I invited a creative homeschool mom to share with us her journey on how to teach math with joy and without fear. She's a homeschool mom of 4 kids, homeschooling for 11 years, and she started Teacher Mom Academy PH with a group of homeschooling moms and friends. He's a mom coach. Ayan. So, kung gusto niyang kunin, mom coach po siya and a facilitator. So, let us welcome Milona Baracca. Hi, Ate Milons. Hello.
Hello, Novi. Wow, what an honor and a privilege to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Maraming salamat. I know that you have, you're so busy at ang dami nangyari sa buhay mo, no? Especially the start of the year, di ba ate? But
Yes.
before that, no? Before tayo magkwentuhan kung ano nangyari sa'yo this first quarter, paano ka ba nag-start mag-homeschooling? Bakit ka nag-homeschooling?
Oh, okay. How did all start? No, so I said so. We've been homeschooling for 11 years already, but before that, when my eldest was 2 years old, 21 na siya ngayon. 2 years old pa lang siya, na plant na yung seed ni God sa heart ko na mag-homeschool. And so I started to read information about it. I got into CCF, the Master's Academy. Nakita ko yung parang library doon. So, homeschool daw yon. So, na-plant na yung seed, but it wasn't until she was 10 years old that the calling was more pronounced. And hindi na ako nakakatulog. God has been sending people across my path, no? I'm sure you know Amy, sina Ivy. Ayan, so they're homeschooling and they would invite us or they would come to our house and doon na solidify to homeschool. We made that big leap to homeschooling 11 years ago.
Wow. So, si Habi naman, okay na okay siya na mag-homeschool ka?
Oh, so kasi my hubby, ano siya, Bensi, no? His name is Bensi. He takes time to decide. Ang tagal. So, I've been praying about it. And then I said, Lord, if this is from you, he would say yes without having to think for a long time. And when I told him, sabi niya, oh, that's a big decision, epic. That's radical, but let's do it, sabi niya. So yun yung confirmation ko na yes, really God has called us to do this. So
Ang
I left
galing.
corporate kasi ang background ko, Novice, I'm with corporate. I worked for 17 years.
Oh.
Oo, so good paying job, really maganda yung ng career growth with all the perks. But yon, yung when God calls you to something, you just have to obey. So it was a big sabi nga namin epic proportion.
Well, I mean, you were able to plant a great seed to your kids now after 11 years, no? So, 4 po yung anak nyo, no? So,
Yes.
ano na silang level po ngayon?
Okay, so the level medyo na-confuse ako. Pero sa age 21, 18, 15, and 12.
Oh.
So may pattern.
Oh.
Novi. Every 3 years.
Plano ba yun na may pattern?
Math pa rin. Hindi, si God yung nag-plan nun.
Oo, sige na mag-plan. Pero ate, kasi
I have a college girl already. She's second
Uh-huh.
year in college. And then, the second one is incoming college this school year. Tapos, may grade 9 ako and grade 7.
Oh, so
So, yung
meron ka
dalawa
pang
na lang homeschooling.
meron ka pang dinadalawang hino-homeschool na dalawa. Oh, that's
Yes.
so good. So, ngayon 'no, natutuwa lang ako dito sa topic kasi I'm sure hindi naman talaga napag-uusapan 'tong ganitong topic, but I do believe it's gonna be relevant, specifically if there are new parents na
Mm-mm.
nagho-homeschool. And ikaw talaga, takot ka mag-homeschool. Before that, I just want to make a disclaimer, okay? Homeschool parents, we are going to share to you our tips and our experiences, but at the end of the day, do what
Mm.
works for you and what God has
Yes.
called you to do, no?
True.
May mga experience po kami rito, pero it doesn't mean that, uy, sabi ni Ate Milona yan or ni Ate Novi yan, ito po ang gawin. So, we just hope that this will be helpful in your homeschool journey.
Mm-mm.
So
Mm.
in this topic na help, I'm so scared how to teach math.
Mm-mm.
Okay, testimony lang ate. Sa totoo lang, when I started homeschooling 15 years ago, takot na takot ako dahil ako talaga, my experience ate, when I was still small, sobra talagang terror yung math teacher namin. So
Mm.
talaga, on that end, when God called us at homeschool, sabi ko, Mahal, may concern ako. Sige, alam ko na mag-homeschool ako, pero takot talaga ako magturo ng math. Parang hindi ako karapat dapat magturo ng math. Parang baka hindi ko mabigyan kung ano yung dapat na matutunan ng mga anak ko. So ako talaga, I have fears. And I have
Mm-mm.
my own journey of kumbaga, hindi siya immediately na alam mo yun na, sige, magtuturo ako with courage. No, siguro mga 3 years bago talaga in-encourage ako ni God na mag-grow in teaching,
Mm-mm.
no?
Mm-mm.
So, on one way or another, talaga ang tinuro sa akin ni God, sabi ni God, grow with your kids. If you
Mm.
think on that level, why don't you learn with them? So,
Mm-mm.
yun yung ginawa ko, nawala na unti-unti yung takot ko. But then again, syempre iba't iba naman ang mga parents, di ba Ate
Yes,
Milona?
yes, oo.
Hindi kanya-kanya na kagad matututunan. Pero, my question is, why some parents are really scared to teach math?
Nako, exciting na pag-usapan 'yan. Parati kong na na pag-uusapan yung topic na 'yan in my math talks, no. So, unang-una muna, ba't ba ako napunta sa math? So, hindi ako expert in math. My background is business management. But I love learning math. I love learning math. And then when my kids, kasi before kami nag-homeschool, yung dalawang, ano ko, they went into conventional school sa BCIS. Pag uwi nila, may dala silang mga homework and then they would discuss with us, no? And then nakita ko iba yung pagtuturo ng maths, iba yung math na inaaral nila. And then I got actually excited kasi suddenly nag-make sense sa akin yung math. Nag-make more sense than the math that I used to learn. Parang mas masaya siya and then my kids are also enjoying it. Oh. So, i-declare ko na sa Singapore math curriculum. And then, na-interested ako so much, I enrolled in professional development courses. Oo. Kasi gusto ko rin na maging masaya yung pagtuturo ko sa mga anak ko. So, that's how I got into it. And then, I started to uh, share about it. Share ko sa mga homeschooling moms, what ano, na-excite ako. And so, that's how it all started for me, sharing math, the love for math to the parents. Kasi yun yung nakita ko, na-notice ko, Novi, 9 out of 10 moms that I've met say they have fear for math. Oo, so, sad lang ako na ganun. And so I tried to read up on it. Bakit? Where is this anxiety coming from?
Yeah, saan?
Oo. So apparently, may mga factors, no? Mga factors. And I think you've given us a glimpse of that, no? Yung terror na math teachers. So there are factors, no? Sino-sino tong mga to? What are these? Teachers, parents, yung pag nag-homework kayo and then nag-iiyakan na kayo, nag-away kayo. Peers, your friends, and then
Totoo
society
yun.
in general. Brings about this nagde-develop ka ng mindset, the wrong mindset about math. Yung mga experiences that you've gone through creates this negative mindset, no? And ano din yung mga mindset na to? I actually debunk them in the math workshop that I do. But let me just dalawa. Yung una is that being good in math is being fast. Ibig sabihin, pag mabagal ka, mahina ka sa math. So, yun yung sa'yo. So, when you're in a group of, in a class, and then may isa bibo, mabilis siya. So, ma-intimidate ka kasi si teacher, ito lang yung sa kanya, yung mabilis. But actually, yun, um, uh, deep, long thinkers, yung mga mabagal are actually thinking deeply. And in fact,
Mm,
magaling sa math yung mga yun.
that's good.
Kasi but they need time. They
Yes.
need time. Also, so it's wrong not to say na yun lang yung maganda. The second is that only some people can be good in math. And so, pag merong matalino sa classroom, siya lang yung magaling. And then ako, hindi na ako magaling. So, nagiging siya, oh, siya na lang pag siya kasi yung magaling sa math. Or di ba yung, when you're older, yung barkada mo, kumain kayo sa labas, tapos yung KKB, oh, siya na yung mag-compute kasi siya yung magaling sa math.
Yeah.
It's a wrong mindset. And so, nagiging negative yung And these negative experiences, actually tumatatak siya. There are adults. Actually, in one of my workshops, there was one who stood up and said, I have not shared this with anybody, sabi niya. But when I was in second grade, I had the most humiliating experience in my entire life. So, pinahiya siya ng teacher sa classroom, tapos binato pa siya ng eraser. And after that, hindi na siya, naging negative na yung niya about math. She doesn't want to have anything to do with numbers or math or think, solving math problems. So, they carried it, uh, nagiging na tumatatak na nadadala later on in life. And so, you have that anxiety. So, my tension, my anxiety, my, yung fear. And actually, it has nothing to do with yung kung magaling ka o hindi. Madami actually na brilliant, pero they think they're bad with math. But that is only brought about by the fear. Uh, na-relieve yung experience, naalala nila yung experience nila, whether there's a teacher that yung embarrassed them or a parent that said something negative. Alam mo yung parents tayo, careful tayo what we tell our children.
That's
Kasi
good.
tumatatak yun. No? So, dyan nagsisimula yung anxiety and trauma. And then, yun, umiiwas ka na sa pag-college. Gusto mo yung pinakamaliit na subject lang na may math. May pinaka-konting unit ng math. You avoid. And then, pag may mga computation, you avoid it altogether. So, and then, the thing about this is that this is contagious. So, kaya critical to because as moms, teacher moms, we pass it on to our children.
Yes. I totally agree, no? Fear talaga is really underlying cause of why we're not teaching our kids. And it's a great distraction in a
Mm-mm.
way that instead of empowering our kids,
Mm-mm.
di ba? Tayo yung nagbibigay, yun ang napapamana natin. And
Mm-mm.
maganda rin kung maganda na dinidiscuss natin to, at least I think parents needs to identify where is that fear coming from. They
Mm-mm.
need to ask, and that's good what you have said, no? Sometimes when we compare ourselves with other people or the
Mm-mm.
past experiences that we have, or we always look at our ability, okay, the ability to teach na inuunahan mo na kagad na hindi ko kaya yan, no? Thank you
Mm-mm.
for, sharing that to us, Ate Milona. But the question is with regards with that, now that we identify some of the fears that might
Mm-mm.
occur, why you don't like to teach math, how do we overcome that fear?
Oo. Especially, no? Kasi magtuturo ka na eh. And like I said, you pass it on. Some parents say, okay lang, hindi ka maging magaling sa math. Di naman ako magaling dyan eh. And you know, children will live up to that expectation. Kaya we have to be careful. So, unang-una muna is that we renew our minds. Di ba? We know this in Romans 12,
That's
do
good.
not conform to the
Yeah.
pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So, kailangan i-rebuke tong mga na to na hindi ako magaling sa math. I don't have what it takes to teach my kids math. Kailangan tanggalin yan. And then, we need to understand, unang-una yun, intindihin natin yung sarili natin, our behavior, and we need to change that, our mindsets. At the same time, kailangan we need to understand how young children learn. Kasi itong math anxiety, napapasa siya. Pangalawa, before, research has it no na yung math anxiety, nagsisimula siya pag nag-algebra na daw. But apparent or yung higher math na, but apparently ngayon the research studies have revealed that math anxiety can begin as early as 5-year old children. So that's scary. Saan daw nang gagaling yan? Apparently, time testing. Alam mo ba na mga kindergarten na yun, may time na yung test nila. And if they nagka-time testing, na yung working memory in the brain is blocked. And so, children start to develop math anxiety. Alam mo yun, may timer na nagano. So, we have to be careful with that. And also, yung rote memorization. So, yung mga bata ngayon pinag-memorize na 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 2, 4, na hindi naiintindihan ng bata. No? So, we need to be careful with that. And so, we need to understand how do young children learn. So, I
That's
shared this
good.
in my workshop, no? Una-una, intindihin natin ang mga anak natin. They're curious, they're active, they're competent learners. Paano ba sila natututo? They learn by interacting with the things around them, with the material, with the people around them, and with the environment. So there's got to be interaction. So when you understand that, oh, this is my child, active, curious, competent, so you need to create a learning environment that the child will thrive. And so critical kasi ang young dahil dito nagsisimula. Ito yung foundational eh. You will notice, I noticed this in yung pagdating ng second grade, the child pagod na siya mag-aral. Kasi masyadong memorization, nawala yung fun. So, one of the things na is to understand that children learn by interaction and by having fun. So, if we know that and we understand that, then how we facilitate our children's learning, we can you make necessary adjustment and plan accordingly how our children learn, understanding that this is how young children learn. So you need to have materials.
Mm.
You need to have something that they can play with, manipulate. And then the environment has to be conducive. So I share about this, and I'm gonna share lang one thing, no, yung the environment refers to a physical environment where they have the necessary materials, teaching aids and tools. But the other thing is the atmosphere. Yung for one, are they allowed to make mistakes?
That's good.
Kasi sometimes we expect for them to get it right away, na hindi sila pwedeng
Mm.
magkamali. So
Come
allow
on.
them to make to take risks, allow them to make mistakes, and
Yeah.
that's how they learn. When they make mistakes, they learn. So it normalize struggling. Kasi sometimes we just acknowledge, or we reward for smartness, but we don't reward struggling through, doing the hard work. And math is a challenging subject. It can be a fun subject too, but sometimes the brain struggles.
Mm.
And what we do as parents, the kind of atmosphere we allow, and how we encourage them during that struggling moment will make or break, will determine how they will face challenges later on. I share this novi, no? Actually, math is just a platform. So, there's a problem, there's a word problem about the brown sugar that Alan and Bella puts on a brown dish. I tell the parents, who cares about how much sugar ang nilagay doon? But what's important is that as you facilitate this for a child's learning, you allow the child to see the problem visually, picturing it in her mind or his mind, and allowing the child to struggle and to um, figure it out himself or herself. Pwedeng hindi niya na masagutan ngayon. Pwedeng bukas pa niya sagutan. But it's okay kasi that mimics real life. So platform siya for just training them to think. And allowing them to make mistakes. So we have to make room for that, no? Na to allow them to make mistakes. And so when a child feels safe to make mistakes, then the child will be willing to pursue more learning. So kahit mahirap. Yun, so make it fun. Understand your child's learning style as well. uh, ano ba siya? Kinesthetic ba siya? I have a son who's kinesthetic, and so labas kami sa front yard, mag-draw kami doon ng chalk on the ano, and skip counting is done by him jumping. Is a child auditory. The child likes to hear himself uh, talk or hear lecture or what, or sometimes may music. So these things come into play, understanding how our children learn, and providing that environment conducive for the child to learn. Na, siya, ang dami ko natin sinabi.
Ang
Nasasagot
gaganda
ba
nga
tanong
ate,
mo?
ang gaganda. Kasi definitely I love what you have shared regarding how they can be able to overcome the fear. It's really renewing and transforming your mind first eh. We cannot
Mm-mm.
impart something to our kids if we ourselves doesn't change first. Sige, gano'n man talaga homeschooling, di ba ate? I still
Mm-mm.
remember na nag-start pa lang ako, oh, I'm gonna homeschool because I want to teach my kids na mapapabuti sila and everything that stuff. And then, biglang dumating na nga si Matt. Biglang, wow! Bigla ka na lang nag-temper o, I mean, right and left. Dahil nga
Mm-mm.
paano nag-trigger sa'yo na, oh no, yung math teacher ko. Alam mo yung ganyan, parang doon pa lang
Oo, naalala mo
lumalabas.
bigla.
So, the change should really start from us, no?
Mm-mm.
Renewed our mind and be
Mm-mm.
honest, no? Na yung
Mm-mm.
sinasabi mo na kailangan ma-identify mo yon na kailangan natin ng tulong, di ba?
Oo, yes.
Kailangan
Yes.
natin ng tulong. And I love what you said also, which is setting the safe atmosphere. At the end of the day, tayo rin naman, di ba? The way we learn. I mean, with, ayokong sabihing ancestors, pero yung mga magulang natin kasi hindi naman din nila alam at that,
Mm-mm.
no?
Yes.
But I believe in meeting where your child is, no?
Yes,
Meeting
oo.
where your
Like
child
that.
is because in one way or another, tama yung sinabi mo, I like what your example, may mabagal na bata,
Mm-mm.
merong mabilis na bata, but it doesn't mean mabagal, hindi niya nagiget, di ba?
Yes.
We cannot identify with that. And I like also what you said by setting that safe atmosphere. When you have that safe environment is you need to learn how to embrace mistakes so that your kids also would know how to respond with mistakes. That mistakes
Mm-mm.
is not something that should be not negative at all. It's something that,
Mm-mm.
okay, I will try again. Okay, let's do this the other way. No?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Maybe this is not the way for you to do it. No, it's not
Mm-mm.
something na, Singapore math yan ang gusto ko. Okay, maganda ang Singapore math, but at the end of the day, kamusta naman ang relasyon mo sa anak mo? No, 'di ba? Yung parang
Mm-mm.
you're forcing things to happen because you have that kind of mindset, 'di ba, no, ate?
Yes, oo.
Yung mga ganong fears na pwedeng lumabas siya eh. And something that it's a reality na sometimes bilang mga magulang parang, oo nga no, parang hindi natin inaamin na meron talaga tayong ganon in our journey. Na pwedeng lumabas the way we parent, no?
Mm-mm. Yes,
And
true.
setting that atmosphere is really, really important. That's why, alam mo ate, I've learned lang, I'm not sure if you know this, meron tinatawag na dyscalculia.
Okay, yes, I've heard about that. I've read about that, yeah.
So ano nga yung dyscalculia?
It's ano, yung parang na ano, hindi ka na makapag-isip, na bablock na kasi yung ano mo, nabablock na yung mind mo because of fear.
So ang sabi nila, dyscalculia is you're having hard time understanding how numbers work
Mm-mm,
and
mm-mm.
how to compare or estimate. Yung para bang yung bata na walang masyadong math concept or sense of numbers. Yung
Mm-mm.
pala yung tawag sa yun na nga. I think,
Dyscalculia,
yeah,
oo.
dyscalculia is dyscalculia. Yeah, LIA. Yan.
Mm-mm.
So, meron palang ganun na, naku ata, I think meron ako nung bata na ganun na hindi ko lang alam. Siguro because of my experience. But then again, sometimes we need also to be able to connect with our kids. We need to learn and study our kids.
Yes,
Kasi
yes,
nga,
oo.
iba't iba sila the way you learn. So, ikaw ate, 4 yung anak mo, di ba? So, iba't iba sila how they learn. So, how do you help your kids? Do your kids some have like math anxiety or ito yung tinatawag nila na
Okay,
dyscalculia?
oo.
Meron ka bang ganong anak?
Among my kids, wala akong nakita na anxious to learn math. Maganda kasi nasimula mo na early na the right approach, and also because my husband and I, we both came from science high school, and yon, we enjoy learning math. So wala ring
Wow.
fear, no? Oo. So when they start learning, okay naman, and yon, learning about the right way to facilitate learning. Because what I learned is that we're not really teachers. We are facilitators of learning. And by facilitators, ayan, so we
Galing.
provide the right environment
Mhm.
that's conducive for them to learn. So the right environment, like I said, you get the best curriculum you can find, the tools and materials, and then the atmosphere, creating that atmosphere that's safe for them to learn and have fun. And we did a lot of fun learning at home. And so like you said, I have four, iba-iba sila. Pareho naman yung parents nila, pero iba-iba, no? And so one has, so iba-iba yung learning style, iba-iba rin yung mga interest. Like and I like what you said na kailangan kilalanin mo yung anak mo and find out. You leverage on your child's strengths and interest. So one of my daughters, gusto niya yung mga mystery stories. So when we were learning about angles, and personally me, hindi ko sinasabi in front of them, no, but yung geometry yung hindi ko pinaka-like sa math. But I don't tell them that. But nung mag-aaral na ng geometry, sabi ko, naku, paano ba to? Ba't yun? Angles? So, inano ko, I tapped on her, yung interest niya sa mystery stories. So, I said, okay, um, let's find the missing angle. So, yun yung naging,
Galing.
so, na-interested siya. Interested siya. And then, we would have, on our dining table, with like masking tape there, lalagay namin, didikit sa table, and then, measuring the angle. So, kailangan kunin mo, no, yung interest and their learning styles and preferences.
Ang galing. Which would coincide with my next question. So, how can I make, math to be fun? Can you give
Mm-mm.
us some samples, like practical tips, specifically in an age level group, like for example,
Young
preschool,
kids.
middle
Oo.
school, or high school?
Mm-mm. So, okay, it begins, no, when they're young, preschool, no. This is critical kasi ito yung foundation for subsequent learning ng bata in math. And this is where papasok yung the concept of CPA, Concrete Pictorial Abstract Approach. So, for a child, this is a learning theory. I think Jerome Bruner, if I remember well. And ang ano niya, ang idea niya, the big idea is that for a young child to grasp something, a concept, kailangan magsimula ka sa concrete. So, dapat meron siyang hahawakan. And then, saka palang pictorial, which is yung sa textbook, may makita siyang picture. And then, the abstract. The abstract, in conventional schools, sabi ng teacher, okay, today we're gonna learn about division. So, nagsimula na kagad sa abstract na division. What is division?
Oh no.
The proper way daw is that you have something there, like a cookies, and then share mo sa mga, okay, you have 12 cookies and you have 4 friends. Apat kayo. O sige, mag-share kayo dyan. So, ilang cookie mo ako ng bawat isa. So, they're holding something concrete, and then they're sharing it, and then before pa lang ipapresent sa textbook na ito yung ginawa nyo, and then later on sasabihin na you are actually dividing it among yourselves. And then, i-introduce yung symbol na division, yung ganyan, yung oo. So, ganun daw dapat. So young learners provide concrete materials. Something that they can hold, they can manipulate, that they can make sense. Oo. So, and then a lot of fun and games. So, I remember my son, favorite niya yung mga soldier toys. So, it's not even in a classroom setting or that we're at home. Nasa labas kami, we're waiting for something, and then he brought out his toys, and then he's learning to play with the toys. And I was just there observing, and then, ayun, I grabbed the opportunity to teach him that, oh, pag namatay yung 5 soldier, ilan yung natira? So, you don't even have to teach subtraction as a concept. Kasi yun nakita niya eh. Oo. So, young kids, actual experiences, dividing with their toys, or um, at home during eating. I remember my son, I was cooking oatmeal, and then he saw me, a cup of oatmeal on the pot. And then, nandyan siya, nakatingin. So, I grabbed na the opportunity. I said, for every cup of oatmeal, I put 3 cups of water. Sabi ko, so if I add another cup of oatmeal, how much water will I put? Sabi niya, another 3. If I add another cup, another 3, oh, that's a lot, mommy, already. I said, yes. But then later on, yun yung foundation niya for ratio and proportion. You don't even have to teach ratio, di ba, and proportion, or multiplication, pero nag-grasp. So, for young learners, ganon, actual experiences. And then for elementary, um, uh, as long as the child wants to hold on to something, a concrete material, or even her fingers. In regular school, tinatapik yung kamay kapag ginamit yung mga daliri, di ba? Allow the child kasi that's how they make sense.
Oo.
And that's connected to the brain, ha? So, that's
Hmm.
very, helpful. So, concrete materials, like my daughter, she was already in ISM. But when she came home, she said she's studying about volume. And then she said, Mommy, can I borrow the base 10 set? So the base 10 set is for learning place value. But she said, I need it to make sense of something. So I let her use it. And so that's helping her as she learns. So concrete materials, and then a lot of interaction. Yung they bounce off ideas. Pagdating sa elementary school, kailangan they bounce off ideas, they express themselves, and then they collaborate with a friend. So that's the challenge with homeschooling. Kailangan may gagawa ka ng group study. Ay, yung the group, create a group for your child to learn alongside with.
Yeah. Group
And then
activity.
sa high school, technology is a large part of high school learning. Ang daming videos that they can watch. And yon, still, also collaboration. And lots of life, yung mga real life, na application. Di ba? So, madami pang great ideas to teach, Novi.
Thank you so much. Ang dami mo nang tip na nabigay eh. Sobrang I like the CPA, no? The
Mm-mm.
concrete, pictorial, and abstract.
Oo.
That's really true, no?
Mm-mm.
Um, kahit naman din tayo kailangan din natin yon kahit hindi sa math. The way we
Mm-mm.
learn. Sometimes lang, hindi yung process of teaching lang that
Right.
we need to, at the end of the day, hindi natin pwedeng madaliin. And I
Mm-mm.
love how you were trying to give all those tips na very experiential. Math is like that, no? We appreciate it. Actually, kailangan maintindihan natin kung gaano ka-importante ang math. And it's really a part of life, which what you're doing a while ago na you teach na while cooking, di ba? That's part of life.
Oo.
I mean, it doesn't have to be very abstract, di ba? Or na
Mm.
kailangan na very complicated. And ang galing lang kasi you were able to approach it in a safe environment na hindi
Oo.
siya parang, ito kailangan fraction matutunan mo. Kung hindi, gano'n. May mga gano'n, may mga mega points pa. But
Mm-mm.
ang galing lang kasi gano'n din naman si God sa atin, di ba ate?
True.
No? Our experiences,
Concrete.
God will just, hindi siya complicated na God. But sometimes we try to overthink and try to
Mm-mm.
be very complicated with our relationship with Him. And we try to do some add-ons to be able to
Oo.
connect with Him. But actually, there's really a connection. The answer is tayo yon. We just need to be
Mm-mm.
available and listen to Him.
True.
So,
That's the
thank you
truth.
for that. Thank you for that.
If I
Pero,
may add also, Novi, no, the
yeah.
importance of playing. Board games is a good, board
Yes.
games are a good platform for learning, even financial literacy, diba, and math So the moms can be creative in ways of presenting. Kapag nagkaaway na, that means step back na si mami mo, mukhang mali yung strategy, iba naman.
Ate, ito, wala to sa binigay ko sa iyong guidelines, no, na questionnaire. Or talaga
Okay.
sinabi ko yun. Yes, sabihin ko talaga. Kasi, kung meron kang wish list in terms of like high school and middle school, what type of math do you want to add in the curriculum? Do you think
Mm.
algebra is really, a factor? Because now that mga adults na yung mga anak ko ngayon din, so parang we were talking about, kailangan ba talaga to? Nagagamit mo ba talaga to? No?
Mm-mm.
Parang ganon.
Mm-mm.
If you're
Mm-mm.
gonna make a wish list and DepEd will ask you, what
Mm-mm.
what kind of math is really should be included in the formative
Mm-mm.
years until high school?
Oh, okay. Actually, sa elementary, dapat primary like grade 5, grade 6, dapat meron na entrepreneurship. Oo, kailangan may entrepreneurship niya. Tapos may actual actual small business yung bata.
Business math, no?
Oo, business math, ipasok na yan, 'di ba? Financial literacy. Oo, so my kids, I let them play Cash Flow 101.
Ah,
Then they
yes.
play that game, oo. So, sa board game, business math is very important. Yung mga taxation, I mean, of
Yes.
course, you make it also relevant to the, yung may business sila, may small business sila, there's a tax related to that. Um, yung simply going to the grocery and giving them a budget
Aha,
and
yes.
making that mental, yung i-estimate mo, that's an essential, ano, math skill. Make, being able to estimate well and make sure na hindi ka, nakasya pera mo.
Oo. And you don't have to be like a mathematician to do that, 'di ba?
Yeah, so if I can add two things, kid entrepreneurship starting grade 5, grade 6, and then financial literacy. Yung being able to financial statements in a fun setting, so dapat play pa rin yung platform.
Oo, ang galing ano. Totoo 'yun na kailangan ma-add yung mga 'yun. I'm not sure if I'm wrong, but didn't our President Duterte said that he will add business math? I
Parang
think I'm
alam
not
ko,
sure.
oo, parang alam ko na merong kid entrepreneurship na required in grade 5, grade 6. Pero yung implementation, Novi, yun yung challenge.
Yes.
If the schools are already doing it, implementing it, yun yung challenge.
O kahit na wala pa sa ating curriculum. So, parents, add that to your, especially may mga middle school and high school. Tama si Ate Milona, we need to
Mm.
add financial literacy and business math. Kasi yun talaga yung buhay natin eh, no? How
Oo.
could be able to translate our talent into, syempre, money and, life goes on.
Oo.
Yes, you want to add?
Yeah, I remember my two girls, we had them, I had a friend who is a GM of a small company. And then I requested her, pwede ba silang gumawa ng business plan and mag-present sa Mancom nyo? So, she was so game naman. So, the girls prepared a business plan and then presented to their Mancom, and then they're asking them questions, and then they were selling the products that they have in a kidpreneur event. And ang galing lang kasi multi-dimension yung learning. So they're learning about money, they're learning about percentage, and then the good thing about that was um, they learn about the 70-20-10 principle. And so at the end of the event, they gave 10% of their earnings to Real Life Foundation. So, yun yung taking learning beyond the textbook and the classroom and outside to the real life, the real world, making it yung multi-dimensional in a way hindi nila makakalimutan and the learning will stick. So they learned that to make money, you have to work hard. So yun, tumatatak yun kasi they experience it eh.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. And totoo yun, di ba ate, pag nag-hire ngayon ng mga tao, ang chine-check nila talaga yung taong marunong talaga mag-problem solve, no? Problem
Mm.
solving is really a skill as well that you need to acquire, especially yung mga anak natin, especially how they be able to respond with adversity. And like for
Yes.
example, what happened to you, 'di ba ate? Ito yung gusto ko yung gusto ko i-share mo, no? What
Mm.
happened to you specifically itong early this year, 'di ba? Kamusta nangyari sa this early this year?
Did you mean did
Yeah,
you
the
mean the
storm.
the storm happened before
Ay, nga
Christmas,
pala,
right before Christmas.
right before Christmas pala yun.
Right before Christmas, we were hit by a storm in Cebu. So, si Typhoon Odette. I'm sure everybody heard about that. And it was a really challenging then moment. So, lumipad yung bubong namin. We were, although meron pa kami sa baba, but yun, all our, sa taas, lumipad. And, yun, I think one of the things that we will go through a lot of experiences in life, challenging experiences, but it's not really what happens to us, it's how we react to what happens to us. So, ano yung reaction mo? And ano din siya, teaching moment din siya kasi your children see how you are taking it. And dito mo ano, solidify din yung faith mo eh. Ano yung pinangahawakan mo when difficult things happen. So, okay ka lang ba kay God kung lahat ng ang nangyari sa'yo masaya, or yon, kung hindi masaya, how do you go to God, and how do you take it? So,
Ang ganda.
uh,
And
ang,
I can see nga in your stories how your kids also is helping out during that
mm,
during that storm or after the storm, no?
after the storm,
Yeah, after the storm
so,
talagang they're really involved in building, they're really involved in fixing,
oo.
in
So,
cooking, lahat
yeah.
involved.
Oo, so ano sila, kasi they're part of the experience, and so you allow them to ano also, no. But the thing with these experiences, ano siya, life changing. It can be traumatic, no, for some. If we care to really admit it, it can cause trauma, and so kailangan din siya na i-process in the children. And the whole idea of ano yung allowing our kids to think and to process, part din yan sa training natin when you're teaching math. So, hindi ka lang nagme-memorize, you're thinking, you're processing, you're evaluating.
I agree.
And in all things, ayan, maganda rin nakita mo yung the hand of God, 'di ba? I tell this to the parents, no, like they're at the end of their wits, and I don't know how to teach math. The word of God says if you need wisdom, you can always ask for wisdom. Diba? And yun, yung we hold on to the, ano, that God's grace is sufficient. When God calls us into this journey of homeschooling, He will enable us. But sometimes kasi we want to do it on our own abilities, diba? I like what you said na, it's also a growth process for you, and it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So, but you've allowed yourself to grow with your children. Pero nangusap ka kay God. You ask Him, Lord, paano ko ba ito gagawin? If only we can do that before we're even faced with the challenge of teaching our kids math, or in my case, Filipino. So challenge din siya. And very recently, I was telling my son, you are a Filipino. This is your, so you need to embrace that. The same way yon, I tell the parents, no, na um, everyone has the ability to learn math well. Gift ni God yan eh. Binigyan niya tayo ng thinking, ano. We
I
need to
agree.
do away with this stinking thinking. This negative mindset na, ay, bobo ako, so yung anak ko, hindi rin yan magaling sa math. Those are, we have to be careful what we think, because this becomes a reality for us. If we allow it to, di ba, rule our, our minds and the things we do.
Thank you so much, Ate Milona. Thank you so much for sharing your life. Thank you so much for just giving us all these tips. It's really refreshing as well, no? Nakakatuwa lang kasi math is really, God made that math. I mean,
Mm-mm.
kung paano naman yung ginawa yung mundo, ang sky, lahat yan math involved, eh, no?
Yes, oo.
The goal is we cannot add that fear, no, and just enjoy
Mm-mm.
what God has provided for us, because with that knowledge, or whether it's math or other subjects, God will use that for us to be able to, advance His kingdom. So,
Mm-mm.
Ate, on your end, what is your advice, siguro the final advice that you could be able to impart to our parents,
Mm-mm.
no,
Okay.
regarding having a hard time with teaching math and having
Mm-mm.
this math phobic? What is
Mm-mm.
your final advice?
Final advice. The final tip, I prepared the acronym RELAX. So, kailangan mag-relax. So, R is, like we've been harping on, Novi, no? Renew your mind. Renew your mind. Kailangan na to do away with the stinking thinking, yung mga negative mindsets. And then pangalawa, encourage creativity. So actually, math is a creative subject. Hindi siya na yung isa lang yung sagot. In fact, in our homeschooling, and in my workshops, I tell the kids, I ask them, is today a clever day? It's a clever day kapag nasagutan natin yung isang problem in 2 or 3 more ways. Kasi mas better
Correct.
daw na nasagutan mo isang problem in many different ways than answering so many problems pero isang paraan lang.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So encourage creativity. You can learn math in a fun way. Hindi kailangan na very strict ka na o textbook and answer the worksheet. Third, leverage on your kids' strengths and interests. So yung shinare ko kanina. So kung your child is auditory or your child is kinesthetic, find ways that you can make it fun. If your child's interest is in art, so one of my daughters an artist, so sa math lesson namin, meron siyang watercolor and brush there. So okay lang yun. It doesn't matter basta she's learning in the way she knows how best, no? And then A, so RELA is ask questions of developing habit. Kasi ang training natin sa mga children natin is to train them to think, to be critical thinkers, to think, to investigate. So, ask questions of developing habits. So, when my kids come to me and say, Mom, is this correct? Hindi ko sinasabi, so tinitingnan ko yung work, hindi ko sinasabing you're right or you're wrong. Ang balik ko is, what do you think? What do you think? So, you're not
Good.
trying to be devil's advocate, but you are training him, nagiging habit sa kanya routine, thinking routine to go back and say, and look at his answer, and then that deepens the learning. So, kung mali man siya or tama man siya, mas nag-learn siya deeply. And then finally, X is, ano kayang word for X? Exhale. Exhale positivity. So,
Oh, galing.
model a liking for math. Kasi di ba the Bible says, a student is not above his teacher. But when a student is fully trained, he will be like his teacher. Tama ba? Oh. Yun. So, this is a sobering thought, no? Our children will become like us. So, a question that we need to ask ourselves, are we the adult that we want our children to grow up to be? So, we
Ah,
can't ask of them something that we're not willing to do ourselves. So, gusto mo natin, nag-iisip sila, nag-iisip din ba tayo? Gusto natin like nila yung math, do we also demonstrate that we are liking math or having a positive attitude towards math, even the struggles that come with it? Yon. So, relax, mommies.
Thank you, ate. Ako rin, na-encourage ako sa sinabi mo na talagang relax. Thank you for just refreshing us with your word. Thank you, thank you. Ate, do you have something that you like to encourage our parents or invite
Oh, okay.
so
So,
that they
it's a busy
contact
season
you?
for us, no? It's a busy season for our family right now. So we've moved, we transition, and so I do workshops, public workshops for math, for parents and for kids now. But this is scheduled sometime March onwards. So if they are interested to know more about it, we post it at Teacher Mom Academy PH in Facebook and in Instagram. But yon, if they have something, like they have a group already and want to have a session exclusive for them, they can always message me, no, here in Facebook, Milona Baracca, or at Instagram, the Homeschool Mom PH. I'd be happy to facilitate yan, yung mga exclusive to groups.
Thank you. Please contact Ate Milona Baraka. And one of the greatest tips that I also learned in math is if you need help, ask for help.
Yes,
Don't
oo.
be shy kung kailangan talaga ng tulong. So, kontakin niyo na sa Ate Milona.
We have friends, no, di ba? We have
Yeah.
friends that are doing tutorials. So
Yes,
between saving your relationship with your child and getting your child to learn, alam mo yon, yung kung nag-aaway na kayo, okay, step back.
I agree.
Relax, mommy. Maybe you can outsource. So we have friends who are really good math tutors. You can ask us if you need help. In fact, for my older kids, I'm already encouraging them to attend tutorial classes also. So okay lang to ask for help. You don't have to do it all yourself. You don't have to. Wag mo akuin lahat kung hindi na, kung sobra-sobra na and nasisira na yung relationship nyo ng anak nyo.
Yeah.
You can always
Yeah.
ask for help. That's a really
Oo.
great tip, Novi.
Yes. Hindi po nakakahiyang humingi ng tulong. Dahil kailangan po natin yan. That's one way of growing also in homeschool journey. You need people to help you out to be able, di ba? It takes a
Yes,
village to be able
yes,
to
that's true. And
raise up our
also, there are
kids.
a lot of who wants to help. Yung talagang gusto nila na no. In fact, like, my two older kids, they were excited to tell me, Mom, we can actually do tutorial already for younger kids.
Katuwa.
Yeah. So if
O,
you
di
need
ba?
tutorial
Oo.
services for younger kids, you can message me.
Nakakatuwa kasi na-impart mo na. Nakakatuwa
Mm-hmm.
na impart mo na sa mga anak mo. Ngayon sila na ang magtuturo.
Mm-hmm.
Napakaganda naman yun.
Oo.
Maraming pong salamat, Ate Milona. Thank you for your time, your generous tips and advices. Thank you for just being, no filter and telling us all of these advices. Thank you for your generous heart. And thank you for just helping the homeschooling community here in the Philippines. Maraming
Thank you
maraming
also,
pong
Noe,
salamat.
for having me. It's a privilege and an honor to be here, and I'm always just happy to spread the math bug, the love
Oh,
for math also.
I
Yeah.
love that, the math bag. Okay, thank you, thank you. Kaya nga po, in homeschooling, lagi po nating tatandaan that relationship is more important than academics. Ako po si Novi Antanyo, homeschool coach, and I homeschool. God bless you!